Hello YouTube viewers, this is Zeroed In again here on YouTube. I'm finally back with some Black Ops videos. I know it took me a little while. I am going to have some more coming up for you soon. It took me a little while because I had to get some gameplay as well as some strategy down, and now that I think I got that, let's go ahead and take a look at a little clip I want to show you here. Thanks to Black Ops' new fancy theater mode, you get to see a little MPL action. I do kind of like this gun, but the purpose of me showing you this clip is I want to share with you something that I think is very important that I've noticed recently in Black Ops, and that is enemy spawns. Now, as I'm rushing up to the enemy spawn point here, I'm noticing I'm encountering some guys, and then all of a sudden, you'll see up in the top corner of my minimap, I see my teammate spawn. Boom, there he is. So let's pause this for a second and let's fly out to take a look at where the enemies are spawning now. So let's get up here in the sky so we can view a little bit better. Alright, so as you can see, there is my teammate who just spawned, and look at where the enemies are spawning. Now most of you may say, okay, well this is obvious, you know. If your teammate is spawning on one side, the enemy's going to spawn on the other. But in Black Ops, this happens so fast that a lot of times you do tend to get shot in the back. So I noticed this, and I immediately turn around, head back to the other base, and I get a couple of free kills. There's one of them. So with that said, I want you to keep this in mind while we're watching the array video. This is one of my more recent games on Array, trying some new strategies out, and this was one of them, and it helped me a lot. Now, I know 28-1 is not an amazing score by any stretch of the imagination, but it does show you how an average player, kind of like myself, can really, using a little bit of good tactics and strategy, turn things in their favor and end up getting really good scores. For instance, in Black Ops, just by following some simple strategies and doing some simple things, I'm already sitting at over a 3.0 kill-death ratio, and I know for a lot of people that they don't understand how people even get to that point. Now, I know a lot of people have even higher than that, or even better than that. I'm not some YouTube god. To me, I'm just an average player who tries to find some tactics and strategies that work for the average gamer like myself. I mean, that's really all it comes down to. So let's talk about some things, what's going on in this video. The first thing you'll notice is that I'm trying to stay away from my team. By staying away from my team, by getting to the point furthest away from my team, I'm getting closer to the enemy. But you notice I'm not just rushing out immediately right into where I know they're going to be, like right out into the open. That's never a good idea. When you're playing stealth, in a lot of cases, people will either say, "Oh, just camp," or "Oh, just rush," one of the two. But there's a time and a place for both of those things. And by camping, I don't mean sitting in a random little place at the edge of the map, hoping that someone will come by there. Camping, to me, is more of an ambush tactic. It's simply getting to a point where you know the enemy is going to walk past, sitting and waiting there for maybe, less than 5 seconds for them to walk by, so you can shoot them in the back. I mean, I don't see exactly what the problem is with that. Also, the weapon I'm using happens to be the Galil. It's a pretty reliable rifle. It has an extra 5 rounds in it from what most rifles magazines start off with. So it's pretty handy. The recoil is a little bit strange on it sometimes, and even though the iron sights are pretty decent on it, I feel like it kicks up more when I'm using the iron sights. So I kind of switched to a red dot sight. I know I'm probably gonna catch hate for using Warlord with a silencer and a red dot sight. Like, oh, you don't need the scope. If you don't have a magnified scope, it's not good. I've heard it all before, but honestly, in this game, whatever helps you is ultimately what you need to use. And I don't need steady aim. I don't really need anything else. Sleight of hand would be good, but I like to try to put myself in situations where I don't need to constantly reload or immediately reload but due to some emergency. I like to try to kind of plan how to shoot enemies, wait for a couple to pass, shoot a few, and I'm also the kind of guy that just pulls out my pistol when I need to, as you'll see me do later as I just get my 11th kill. So I got my Blackbird up here, and kill streaks I'm rolling with this time are an 8, 9, 11, Blackbird, and Chopper Gunner, and Dogs. And you'll see how the Chopper Gunner and Dogs are very effective when used together, because oftentimes you call in Dogs and people will try to hide from them or try to get into buildings, and then they just get killed because it's really not a good idea. But with the Chopper Gunner, you can't really be outside either, so with those two up, there's almost really no place to hide. And here you see me just run out of ammo, switch to my ASP just in time to get the Dogs. And honestly, that was pretty lucky. I do make several mistakes in this video, and one of them was that I shouldn't have been that aggressive. For some of you who've seen my older videos, they'll say, you know, well, you used to play so aggressive, and yeah, I suppose to a point I did, but I'm finding that in Black Ops, it really does pay to kind of analyze your situations and in most cases ambush the enemy, because the way the spawns work, it often seems like people end up traveling in a big pack. So even if you manage to rush up and kill 2 or 3 guys, though, it seems like there's always a 4th one, or there's always a 3rd one, or you know, there's always one extra one that you didn't expect that's going to kill you. And honestly, that's what I found. So I've stopped running around without a silencer. I've stopped trying to do crazy, stupid stuff, and just kind of settle into a more comfortable stealth mode, something that I know that I'm good with. So yeah, so already here's an example of what I'm talking about. You know, you need to be analyzing at all times. I've said this before, even in Modern Warfare 2, but it's easier to do now. You need to be analyzing at all times where are the enemies? Where are they spawning? That's the most important point. Where are they spawning? Usually they will spawn on the most extreme opposite of wherever your team is spawning. If you spawn with your team, or you see a team member spawn with the nearest group of your team, then usually the enemies are spawning closer, but they're spawning on the exact opposite end of the map where you started facing. And I know that's hard to explain, and I'll have other videos showing what I mean by that. But basically, when you spawn, the direction you face tends to be where the enemy is spawning on the opposite side, or they spawn at the other extreme of the map. So that pretty much wraps that up. I know I didn't get to talk too in depth about it, but I'm coming back with more videos. So 28 and 1, that's my first video in Array. Hope you guys enjoyed it.